we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Hey guys, what's up? Somebody give me a 5 for 5 in there, and we'll get going. Tommy's not going to be here tonight. Had something come up that he had to take care of. Like I said, guys, we all got life we got to do, you know. So that's what's happening right now. And he'll be back with us as soon as he can. So, anyway. So, yeah. With that being said, I did not have a whole lot of time tonight, guys, to put anything together. But I'm going to try my best to do something anyway, guys, to keep you guys going. And not to mention, man, I tell you what, guys, you guys ever, like, go to do something on your computer and it does, like, one of those automatic updates? Yeah, well, mine did that to me about 6 o'clock. And it took it till, I'm not even kidding, till like 15 minutes ago before it was done doing what it was doing. And when that happens, in case you guys don't understand how that works, I tried to go to my other computer, and I couldn't because of other things I had to do to get connected to the Lifeboat account. And I didn't realize it was going to take that long, so I was trying to do that at the same time. And luckily, this thing finished doing what it was doing about 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago. So, yeah, we're here, though. We are here. And we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to have us a good show. And hopefully, you know, this is one of those subjects, guys, you know, and obviously when life throws you a curveball, right, how do you deal with it, especially in addiction recovery? There's a lot that we can do, okay? I guess I'll start off by saying this, that, again, everything is individualized. You know, what works for me may not work for you. And what works for you may not work for me. We just have to understand and just kind of, you know, be fluent and flexible enough to adjust when we need to, right? So when that's happening, you know, and it makes you guys, when something gets thrown at you, it most definitely, you know, throws you for a loop sometimes, depending on how big the situation is. And you know, even in my own life here the past week or so, what happens is you start getting little ones, right? Little curveballs thrown at you, and every once in a while you hit one out of the park, and every once in a while you'll dribble one down the first base line, hit a foul ball. But what happens when you're standing at the plate swinging at these curveballs and you're fouling every one of them off? You're still in the game, and you're not out yet, but everything's piling up. You're getting tired standing there, right? So eventually that curveball will turn into a strikeout if you keep fouling those things off. Or you can choose to do what needs to be done and get yourself a base hit or a home run. Okay? Sometimes you even have to lay down a bunt and run it out. All right? And I know that that's kind of a sports analogy there, but I think it works, and I think that most people will understand what I'm saying there. And I think that, you know, everybody, when they walk to the plate, they're going to have a different bat in their hand, right? So, and they have different talent levels, and you can kind of, relate that to, I don't know, maybe your first hitter versus your ninth hitter. If you're in a clutch situation, you don't want to send your pitcher up there to bat for you. It's just not what you do. You want your number 4 batter, or if you need a base hit, you put your number 1 batter in there. That kind of a thing. You got to know which player to put in when you're trying to coach your own life. And you also have to learn that there are more than one player on the team, right? And you have to know which one to go to in certain situations. And you're always going to have those probably in your close-knit, type of family environment typically. But here we choose our own family, so that kind of gets extended out. You'll have those that are really, really close to you, right? And you know that no matter what you do, say, or have going on, that they're going to be there for you, right? It doesn't matter what it is. So we got to learn to recognize who those people are and utilize that. We have to utilize those people. We have to. Because they're there. They want to be there. They want to be utilized because they love you. So when we're trying to figure out how to navigate through a tough situation, especially when you get a bunch of them, a bunch of small ones or even a bunch of big ones that pile up all at once, that's when you need help, right? And oftentimes people will treat life as a solo sport. It's not. It's a team sport. Okay? I'm sure we've all heard the cliche. How do they say that cliche? It takes a village to raise a child. It's kind of the same thing. It takes all of us to get through all of this. And everybody's playing their part, and everybody typically will step up and help when they need to. But we have to recognize in our own lives that we need that help. If we're not able to say, hey, I need help, you're not going to get it. You can't expect people to read your face or read your body language or anything like that. You really, truly have to, voice it sometimes. Hey, I need help. Hey, this is going on. Hey, do you have advice on this situation? Do you have anything that maybe you could help me with as far as maybe I'm not looking at this the right way? Maybe this, maybe that. And again, guys, everybody's story on this will be different. It truly will be. What works for me may not necessarily work for you. So the best advice that people can give you in these situations is to have all those things available at once. Because what works for me like today may not work for me tomorrow. Maybe I need to do something different tomorrow. Who knows? Right? And that's why the whole boat, everybody here, we all understand what's going on in our lives typically. And if you don't, you stick around long enough, we're going to help you understand it. And then even past that, we're going to be here when you need that help. Right? And guys, I understand that sometimes it's hard to reach out and ask for help. It is. We got to, when you get into recovery or even before, you're going to have to start learning how to drop your pride. Leave your pride at the door. Leave your ego at the door. Leave all that self-reliance crap at the door. Because that's what it is. It's crap. Wipe that stuff off your shoe before you walk in the house. All right? Because it's not going to get you anywhere. So, yeah, and I know that this is kind of like I said, a broad subject, and we can get down into specifics and stuff on, what are some tools we could use. But what do I do when life throws me a curveball? Right? Well, the first thing, guys, that I would suggest you to do, and I'm not even kidding, is to sit your butt down and take a 10-second pause, if not longer. Think about it for a second. Think about what's going on in your life. Think about why this is happening to you, whatever the situation is. Let me fix that a little bit. Sorry, guys. A little OCD like that. But, yeah, see that? Man, I hate that. I hate being OCD like that. All right, here we go. All right, that's a little better, I guess. Anyway, yeah. Where was I at? See, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, so we got to ask, right? We got to ask for help, and we got to learn. We got to learn who to ask, what to ask, and how to ask it sometimes. But just know that when we're in these situations, these curveballs being thrown at you, that there's always a way to hit that ball, right? Always. So sit down, like I said, take a breather. Do a breathing exercise if you have to. Guys, it really works. When I got into recovery, when I first got into recovery, that stuff is always suggested, even like in in-house rehab. They have you do this. They try to teach you how to do it. They even did like acupuncture and all those holistic things that actually, you think they don't help, but they do. If you engage, you're only going to get out of it what you put in it. And that goes 100% for your recovery. All right, whatever that is, whether you're recovering from alcohol, whether you're recovering from some sort of an addiction, whatever that addiction is. But I do know this, guys, that you will not get any more out of a situation than what you're willing to put into it. And when I first got into recovery, I would go to group, right? I'm thinking, man, why do I got to come to group every week and do a group counseling session and all this other stuff, right? So I thought it was just, those guys had their job to do, right? This is what it was early when I was in early recovery. And, I was just going through the motions. I found myself just walking through the motions so I could, continue my medicated assisted treatment, Suboxone. Because you have to go through those kinds of things if you want to stay on the medicine. And it becomes like one of those, I guess you call them lemmings. You just kind of walk, you're following the leader, you're just kind of going through the motions so you can, do life, right? But at some point, I can't even tell you exactly when this happened. At some point, I started to realize that what these guys were saying in these group sessions and people that were in recovery longer than me, they had a lot to offer, is what I'm trying to say. And especially those, like I said, that were there for a good amount of time. Because you'll look around and I hate to throw stats out here. I do. I hate to throw a stat out here, but this is the truth. And I seen it where I was at. 80% of the people that you're sitting at that group table with will eventually be gone. For one reason or the other. Okay? A lot of them return back to the same life. A lot of them end up in jail. A lot of them, unfortunately, they end up dead. And, and that's the life there. And the only way to get that number to be better is to do what I'm saying. Is to try, when we start getting these things thrown at you, learn how to hit these curveballs. Go to whatever you're doing, like come here and try to really get as much as you can out of it. And I have to say that the more participation I put forward into my groups, the more I got out of it. It works that way. It's a give and a get and a give. Which one starts, it doesn't matter. But you'll see people in your life around you not understand where you're coming from. Right? So the only way to get them to understand at least a little bit is to let them watch what you do. You could tell them that you're in the bathroom crapping bars of gold. And obviously they're not going to believe you until you walk out with one in your hand. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, I guess I don't want to use the word prove, but you have to show the world that you are no longer that person. And they will start to look at you different. I promise. A lot of people say, well, can they ever look at you the way that they used to? Well, no, they can't. But what ends up happening is they can look at you in an even better light than what they did previous. That light might be coming from a different direction, but you might look better in it. And that's not a joke. Because you can grow as a person through all of this, and you can become, and most people do that are successful in this, become a better person because of all the hard stuff we've been through. And you've taken it upon yourself to put forward that effort. Most of us will do it first for our families, and I know that we get into this conversation that, you got to do it for yourself. But if you look at it from the right perspective, doing it for your family is doing it for yourself. Okay? What's most important to you? For most people, they're going to say family. They're going to say wife, kids, mom, dad, all these things, right? So when those things are the most important to you, that's what you gotta look at. Those are the ones that you really want. You want them to look at you. Oh, I don't know. I hate to say a better light. You just want them to see that you're putting forth this effort. You want them to see it physically with their eyes, because they truly do not understand it if you just tell them. I mean, they can understand what you're saying. They can comprehend, okay? But they can't understand what you're feeling, what you're trying to show them. Hey, look, I recognize that I did all this bad stuff. I was that person, right? Nobody intended to be that person. But now, because we've been through that, and now that you're on the other end of it, or if you're in the middle of it, it starts little. Okay? Start with the little stuff, guys. And I'm not telling anybody to, in any sort of way tell them how to handle their own personal lives when it comes to, wife and kids and moms and dads. But what I can tell you what worked for me was just being completely transparent to the point that whatever I could do to make, especially like my wife, because that was who was helping me the most. I wanted her to understand that I was 100% in this. You know what I mean? Because she was 100% behind me. So I wanted to give her as much comfort that I could, and however I could do that, so she could, at least have a little bit of peace in her mind that, hey, he's at least giving an effort here. I don't have to worry so much. And one of the ways I did that was I quit carrying cash. Period. I quit carrying cash. None. And what's the reason for that? Well, the reason for that is you're not going to walk up to your drug dealer with a credit card. You're just not going to do it. It's not going to work. He's not going to pull out a little, phone app and swipe your card and, here's your stuff, right? That ain't going to happen. You're not going to be able to do that on the street. So one of the ways to start giving a little comfort back to the ones that love you and are around you every day is doing simple stuff like that. Because, you don't have to carry cash nowadays. If you actually need something, you can go to the store and get it with a card. Some places aren't even like accepting cash anymore. It's kind of crazy that way. But it definitely works, right? Because you could see a change. Because what you're doing there is you're building trust as time goes by. Because now you're getting further and further away from all the bad stuff you did, and you're showing them. You're not just telling them that you're doing these things. You're showing them. You're showing them with what your actions are. And that's really where the bread and butter's at. We can't just say it. We can't just say about it. We got to be about it. And that's what I'm trying to say. And I say all that because those are some of the biggest and best tools you can use when life does throw you a curveball. Because now you've opened a lane of honesty, and you've opened a lane that you can, access. I can go talk to my wife at any time and tell her, hey, I'm going through this in my mind right now. I've even went to her and said, hey, I'm having bad thoughts and I want to go back to doing what I was doing. Please watch me a little closer. I've said that to her before. Maybe not in those so many words, but pretty close to that. And I've, in certain situations, I would because when I was when I'm still in medicated assisted treatment, but there was a time when I had, one of the things I did for comfort for her and for me was that I would let her dose me out every day. Right? So when it was time for my medication, she had it. I didn't even know where it was at. Right? And that was one of those things I did. I did it for her, but I was doing it for me too, because at the time I probably really needed to do that. Taking extra and all that stuff starts running through your mind, and that whole mindset of your addiction starts coming back in, right? So that was one of the tools that I used, and it worked. Okay, and it was like that for God. I mean, to the point where it was years passed, and we got to a point where now my medication is in the kitchen. I know where it's at. It's there. I don't move it. If she wants to see it at any time, it's there. Right. I mean, it's like right there in the front of the cabinet. And so what I'm saying is we're growing from that base point. Right now, I don't. If I'm home all day, I don't sit around thinking about it like I used to. And that's just me. Right. That's where I'm at in my recovery. Now, people that are in early recovery probably can't do that. If it's there, it's accessible. We have to start teaching ourselves, the other better way to think. When we feel bad, we don't just automatically run to our medication. We've got to start working on it here. Okay? And that's exactly what needs to be done. And so what I'm saying is those were baby steps taken over a period of years to where now, she don't have to dose me out every day. It's there. I go in there when it's time for my medication, time for me to take my medicine. I take it, and that's it. And honestly, it really is that way, and it sits there. So what I'm saying is, even though I'm controlling it, she has access to it at all times. So if I was to go in there and take extra, she would know. So there's still a level there of accountability, but it's also a level of trust that she's giving back to me. And and I felt comfortable enough that could happen. And sometimes we have to do things that we think we can handle, but we have to let them handle it so they feel more comfortable about what's going on. You're going to have to swallow a whole lot of crow. And I hate to say it like that, but that's just the truth of it. You have to teach yourself, hey, I did all these bad things for this length of time. I mean, this is really, really just over a period of, and especially like in Tommy's case, 30 years. You expect that stuff just to be out of somebody's mind, overnight? No. We didn't destroy that stuff overnight, so we're not going to gain it back overnight. So we have to do certain things and again, it's going to be different for everybody. For me, it was giving my wife control and my family, everybody. I let them have control in what I was doing, and slowly through the years, we've gotten back to a more normal type of relationship as far as when it comes to medication and being able to trust. I can have cash in my wallet now. I try not to have too much, just because of whatever reasons. I mean, not no drug reason or anything like that, but that's not a concern anymore. I mean, it always has to be there in my mind, and it probably always will be there in my wife's mind. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. But those thoughts become less. They become less intense. Because just because we think about it don't mean that, we're holding that priority of that right there. Right? The thought can cross your mind, but if it leaves real quick, no harm, no foul. The problem is when the thought comes into your mind and it stays. Right? And like I said, guys, and Tommy said it a bunch too, we can only think about one thing at a time. Okay? We can't think of two things at the same time. Our mind literally cannot do that. Multitasking is a myth. Look it up. All right? When you're multitasking, what's happening is your short-term memory is reacting really, really fast. So what your brain is doing, you're thinking about one thing, like say you're working, right? Say you're working at a fast food place. You're on the register, right? You're collecting money. And then somebody comes up and is talking to you from the side somewhere saying, hey, they messed up my burger. So now you're forced to kind of, go back and forth between two situations. And most people look at that as multitasking. It's not. It's short-term memory. You focus on one thing at a time, your brain can only do that, but some people are able to do that quicker, back and forth. That's what that is. Seriously, go look it up. I mean, it's hard to believe, but that's really the truth. Full of hope. My husband dispensed. Okay. Yeah, no, for sure, full of hope. That is and that's the thing. You're willing to do that, right? Let me read that. It says, my husband dispensed from every night to give him room to regain full hope's trust. It says they were separated for 4 years and you still take it. It says, for my sobriety, it gives me time to think because I'm impulsive. Hey, I don't want to say that that's bad or good. That sounds like it's a good thing for you. And again, that's going to be individualized, and that works for you. And I'm glad that you found that, because that's definitely a good way to say that. You're doing things in that way, and yeah. Hey, Mass Awakening. I'm not sure if I've ever met you, but welcome. Hey, Virginia, Leisure, Miss V, Cemetery, Pamela. I missed anybody in there yet so far? Swiss, what's up? Trish, what's up? Lewis, how you doing? How you guys doing? Sorry I missed last night, guys. My daughter had a program. She's in dance choir, and yeah, it was pretty cool. She did a really good job. I was really proud of her. Yeah, I tell you what. And it's a new program here at the school that we're at. And they're trying to get it kicked off so they can still have it next year. So it's important to kind of, be there and support and all that. And I will say they kind of combined like dance choir and like symphonic orchestra or choir or symphonic choir. And then they had like a jazz band. They were doing all these different programs. They put it into one show, and it did last quite a bit. It was like an hour and a half long, almost 2 hours. So that's why I didn't make the show last night, in case you guys didn't know. But that's why I wasn't. Hey, Alan, what's up, brother? Stacy, Joanna, good to see you guys. Glad you guys are here. And yeah, let's see here. Did I miss anything? Are you the same guys that talk about the soul? It's funny you say that, Mass Awakening. That's me, right? I am the guy that talks about solar flares and all of that. And this is my other channel is Wages World, and that's where I get my that's my channel. But this is something that me and Tommy are doing together. But yes, that's me. Hey, Jesse. And guys, I still do the space weather thing. We've been having some pretty substantial stuff lately. I do shows when things need to be said and things need to be updated and stuff like that. I used to do even like every day I was going live and stuff, and I found that there was a lot of people out there doing the everyday thing, and so there was enough out there that people could see that. So I kind of moved to a more when things happen, I'm here type of content. Now there are times I'll just hop on just because I haven't given an update. I try to do it. If I don't give an update in 4 or 5 days and there's really nothing going on, I'll still go live and show everybody what's up. You probably found me through Marfugal. I would say that's where a lot of people found me. Adam over there is great. Marfugal, guys. If you guys aren't over on Marfugal, you need to get there. It's the best news that you could possibly find, honestly. Not only do they put out there what they think is going on, but they give you their source, because there's certain things you just can't talk about here on YouTube. So they have a website. You can go there and you can get all that just blunt stuff there. But they always list sources, wherever they get their information from, so you don't have to trust them. You can just go look for yourself. And that's it. That's Marfugal TV and Marfugal News. They have 2 different channels. They even have an outro channel. It's kind of cool. Adam does some mixing, some looping. So he'll do like the outro stuff for like 20 minutes after the show, and they put that on another channel just by itself. It's pretty cool stuff. He does a good job with it too. Just so you guys know, if you guys ain't over there, please go over there. I'm Fugal fan for life. I've been there since the beginning, before Adam ever blew up. And yeah, And I give some space weather updates on his channel. So that's probably where you found me, I'm sure. But yeah, it's called Marfugal News and Marfugal TV. Yeah, the shoutro, for sure. But yeah, guys, what you got going on, Swiss? I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back and read that. I hate to hear when somebody says sorry for that for you. I'm gonna go read that. You having a hard time, Swiss? Yeah, Douglas makes a good point there. Sometimes you get that nagging little like pick at you. When you're going through recovery. It doesn't have to be that blast in your face. Oh my God, I want to go do this. It can be just something that's like, hey, maybe I should go try this, or hey, maybe I'm good enough now. I can just go do this 1 or 2 times and be okay. And let me tell you something. That what I just said right there is never the truth. I've never ever had anybody that I've ever talked to that thought they could go back and do what they did for 1 or 2 times and be okay after. Doesn't work. Okay? On the off chance that it might work for 1 person or 2 people that you might talk to, we're talking the chances of that happening are almost 0. So just know that. Okay. Back at you, Vapor. For sure, Swiss. I mean, honestly. Hey, Charlie, what's up? Good to see you, bud. Hey, T-Prada. But yeah, and guys, like I said, I didn't have like a really whole lot of time to put, especially when I'm having this computer issue. I was going to try to put something more, I guess, constructed, more precise, because I try not to. I even squirreled a little bit here tonight already. I do that, and that's why I try to have like graphics and stuff when I'm here. But tonight was just something different, and got to roll with it. And I don't think we're having a bad show. I'm glad you guys are talking to each other in there, and I really, this is really what we're here for, is for that anyway. Just so you know, we bring a topic and we try to talk about it just because, in case we get a slow time, people want to learn, that kind of thing. But the main help that we give people is right here, what we're doing right now. Well, thanks, Alan. I appreciate you, man. Pain, sadness, and pain. Yeah, Swiss, if you're having physical pain, then I imagine you got some emotional stuff going on with that too. They usually come hand in hand. And sometimes one will be worse than the other. And then what happens is it starts to compound on you. Just like I was talking about. You get a curveball here, you get a curveball there, and all you're doing is fouling them off. You're never getting a base hit. You're just kind of, some people would call that putting a Band-Aid on it. You're not really fixing the problem. You're just kind of chipping it off. And let me tell you something. It's okay to do that a little bit. Okay? If you're just trying to stay, if you just need to get to the next minute, it's okay to do that. But you got to understand that if you keep doing that, when you go to rip that Band-Aid back off, it's going to hurt. Okay? Just saying. Because then you got to really get down into the deep parts of why you had to put that Band-Aid on in the first place. And the longer that Band-Aid's on your skin, you guys have all experienced this, I'm sure. You put a Band-Aid on, leave it on for 3 days, and try to rip that sucker off. See how that feels. That's the same thing as what I'm talking about here. It really does parallel what I'm saying. The more that you put this stuff off, even though you're fixing it just to get to the next minute, until you address the root problem, it's going to hurt. It just will. I'm not saying that we all don't do that sometimes, because I do it just about every day, just to be honest, just so I can figure out what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? So, if we want to go down that road of analogy, you can start saying stuff like, well, maybe I need to contact the nurse to help me out, that kind of a thing. Your family would be your nurse. I'm just trying to relate that to, so people remember. You know what I'm saying? That's why I do that. I try to give some sort of a picture in your mind that you can relate what I'm saying, so you remember what I'm saying. But we all need that, and we can all be each other's nurse and help each other get, change each other's bandages sometimes. And again, your doctor would be your most trusted, not only in real life, but in your, your family would be your doctor in that situation. And I'm telling you, gotta trust them. Gotta trust your real doctors too. And I'm gonna say that. I played the disclaimer and stuff, but whenever we talk about any of this, I don't really talk. We haven't really talked about like the medication end of it tonight, but we're not. Me and Tommy aren't doctors. We're just sharing our life with you, our experiences, what we've been through. So know that. So always, if you're having issues, always go through your medical professionals. Always. You need to do that. And don't just assume that they're going to be that stereotypical, well, we're just going to say this to get you out of here. Not all doctors are like that, guys. And there's a lot of doctors now coming around to understanding that we were in a bad place, right? And they're actually, instead of just trying to throw pills at you, they're trying to help you get fixed. And not all doctors. You got to find your own, right? And I could give you an example of that. I had a kidney stone a few months back. You guys knew that. And when I went into the hospital, the first thing that comes to my mind when I get sick like that is, oh my God, they're gonna, I'm gonna go in there. They're gonna think I'm a drug addict, and they're gonna treat me like that, right? They're gonna treat me like I'm in here pill seeking, and I was in excruciating pain. So I walk in there and I say, hey, listen. Yeah, we're going to give you some pain medication. And I stopped them right there. I was like, hey, I don't want no opiates. I told them that straight from the get. I told them when I walked in the door, I was on Suboxone. So I'm telling them, hey, don't give me, but my situation, the way that it was, because there was a chance they were going to have to do surgery to go in and take my kidney stone out like that, like right away, like almost an emergency thing. So they couldn't give me what I think it's Tramadol or Toradol or something like that. They couldn't give me that because I guess it thins your blood and makes you bleed more or something. She said, but we have to get your pain level down because your blood pressure is so high right now. It was ungodly. I can't even remember what it was at this point, but it was like, and I looked at her and said, I don't want any opiates. I don't want people to think I'm in here. She said, no. She said, if I thought that you were in here doing that, you wouldn't be getting any of this. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. But what I'm saying is that if you approach the situations like that, in that kind of a manner, the doctors will treat you with respect. Most of them will. Now, I'm not saying, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. Because when I remember going to the hospital then when I had some bad issues and almost having to fight with these doctors because of that situation, that same situation. Even though I wasn't in there pill seeking, they just assumed that I was. And I get why the assumption's there. I mean, I did it before, right? So whose fault is that? Well, at the end of the day, you know whose fault it is? It doesn't matter. How about that? Who else is going to say that? It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Let's quit putting blame on people and just fix the daggone problems. How about that? How about we do that? You see what I'm getting at there? And I know that that's not a popular phrase because that requires both parties on both sides to let it all go and just fix the problem. Just fix the daggone problem. You see what I'm getting at? and I, like I said, I understand how a recovering addict can feel like disrespected, right? And I can also see how a doctor would be pushed into that kind of a situation to assume that you're in here doing the bad stuff. So who's right and who's wrong? Well, both of them are right and both of them are wrong. That's my point. So how do you fix that? Well, you just concentrate on the solution. You leave out who was at fault. Who cares? Just fix the problem. And start from there. And that's, and nobody does that anymore. I mean, and it's getting done more and more now. But even if you just go around YouTube, you can see it. When you see a community cannibalizing themselves, people that are trying to put out good stuff, and then those people start disagreeing with each other, they turn on themselves. It's ridiculous. It really is. And that happens in real life. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. It does. And guess what? Who wins and who loses in that situation? I can tell you this. Nobody wins. Not in that situation. Everybody involved loses when that happens. So we got to push back against that. Right? How do we do that? By doing what we're doing. We're talking in the chat. We don't always agree on everything. But we don't judge one another. We still try to help people that don't necessarily agree with us. We are still here when they come and ask for help. And they're there for us when we do also. And that's why this channel especially works. That's why. Because we're not going to be those people. And we never will. And I have to say, before my addiction, before I got into recovery, I was not that person. You know, I was wired to defend myself immediately. And that's what you see on everywhere you go in your life, especially on like social media. That's what it ends up being. And I'm saying all this because, believe it or not, that stuff can push us back into a bad state of mind if you're watching this stuff, you know, out in front of you, or if you're involved in it, it can push you back into your addiction. That's why that's why I bring it up. That's part of a curveball. You might disagree with somebody in your same genre of whatever you're talking about, and then all of a sudden you guys are fighting. That's a curveball. You didn't expect it, right? So how do you deal with that? Well, I just gave you one scenario. You just don't point blame. If everybody could just do that, do you understand how much better everything would be? I mean, not just in our recovery channel here. You know, living our best life. Anything in life. If people just quit pointing the finger. You know, I'm not telling you to go out here like this and go point it back at yourself. I'm definitely not telling you to go out here. What I'm trying to tell you to do is do what they did in the cartoon, right? They went that away, right? So you just, yeah, that's the attitude you have to have. If you really truly want things to get better, that's where you got to get. If you want your addiction, if you want your life just to be better in general, you've got to quit trying to apply blame on every situation in your life. Because we can sit back and we can blame our addiction on ourselves all day, every day. And you know what that leads to? Leads to self-loathing, leads to guilt, leads to regret, which every one of those leads straight back to depression and fear, which will lead you straight back to your drug. I just gave you the downhill steps back to your drug. I know it was really fast, but guess what? That's how it happens. It happens really fast once you start just doing that stuff. How do you stop it? You don't start it. That's how you stop it. You let it end. Quit putting blame. Even if you guys are never ever going to agree, maybe just say, hey, we're not going to agree, so let's talk about something different. How about that? That's a novel idea, isn't it? Just saying. Anyway. Okay. You know, that's a good step, Lewis, I have to say. You're taking responsibility. Anybody wants to, I guess I could read that. So like I said to Tommy last night, I guess they spoke after the stream. No one made him do drinking or drugs. No one held a gun to his head or nothing like that. He just did it, right? That's part of it, Lewis, and I'm glad you're there. Because the sooner you can take responsibility for what you're doing, the sooner you can move on. And well, thanks, Leader. I appreciate you, bud. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about there, Full of Hope. I was kind of trying to keep up. Yeah, Mass Awakening. That's what you're going to find here. We're a group of people that think like that. Like I just said, most, when I'm saying those kinds of things, I'm reiterating it to everybody here on the boat, but they've already heard it. And it helps us to keep hearing it, but it also helps people like yourself that haven't been here to hear it like that too, because I'm telling you guys, we have the best tool that we've ever had in our existence to help, right? Which is what? The internet. And what has happened? People like us, we're using it for the good reasons, right? But with that, and I'm not so naive to think that it's ever going to get to a place where there's no negativity, right? And I would even go as far as to say that a little negativity sometimes will keep you in check. Okay? Maybe negativity might be a little strong word there. It might be more like I don't know, whatever word you want to assert there. But we got this great tool in front of us. And so many people use it for self-gain, just propagating bad stuff, right? They fight. How many channels you guys listen? When I say it's across all genre, that's exactly what I mean. I mean, you got channels that are out here talking about, I don't know, some of the most like mundane topics that that are interesting to some people. I don't know. I'm trying to find one in my head here. Maybe like a cooking channel. I promise you that if you go watch a cooking channel, I bet you can find somebody that has something bad to say about them on another channel. And it probably wouldn't take you too long to find that kind of stuff. Why does that have to be there? It's a cooking channel. People are there to hear you talk about how to make French fries and bake a cake and, what are they going to fight about? Ingredients and, no. You know what happens? When they disagree on something, and because you can't tell somebody's body language when something's said, like through a chat, things get misunderstood. And then they think you're saying something nasty about them. So what happens is they start bashing each other. And it's like video for video, right? I'm sure you guys have seen these. I call them YouTube wars because that's what happens. I refuse to do that. On my Space Weather channel, I've had people want to start doing that stuff with me. And I have no interest in that whatsoever. So you know what I do? This is how I handle it. And you can handle it like this in your own real life. Just tell them, okay, let's have a conversation then. But when we have the conversation, it's not just going to be me and you. We're going to do it where everybody can see it. If you got to bring 4 or 5 people, say you're not on the internet, just bring 4 or 5 of your friends or whatever if you're having problems in your own life. That way, nothing is misunderstood. You see what I'm getting at? And guess what? After that conversation, whatever you guys were mad about or fighting about, no matter who was right and who was wrong, that situation is over because everything has been said. It ain't running over here telling Bobby Joe something and going over here and telling Billy something different. It ain't making a video here and then making a video here and making back and forth. You disagree with me? Come talk to me live on my channel. That's what I say. And I've done that. And it works. Because I've been wrong before. And I admit it. I'll admit it straight up live. I've done it. I mean, a bunch. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, and if I'm right, I'm going to tell you, hey, I don't agree with you. I think I'm right. And that's just what it is. And if we would handle that in life, again, it goes back to point and blame. We don't need to do that. That is not a necessity in any kind of situation that you're in. Pointing blame to somebody does what? What does that do? Think about that for a second. Even if you're right, even if you point to the person that started all of it, pointing that out, what does that do for anybody? Does it help? No. You know what it's doing? It's embarrassing them. That's what it's doing. And when you're embarrassed, what do? You lash out, don't you? You lash out, or you get away from the situation altogether and never go back and talk to those people. So when you're pointing blame to somebody, even if you're 100% right, if you want to tell somebody that they're wrong in a big way or whatever, my suggestion is to do it not out in front of the whole world, because they're going to get embarrassed, and no matter if they are wrong, if they were the ones that started all of it, they're not going to admit it in front of the world because they're embarrassed. So don't do it like that. Have some respect for yourself and for everybody else listening, and for the person that made the mistake. Just don't do the blame thing. That really solves almost everything that I just talked about. It doesn't matter who is right. It only matters what is right. And you strive to get to there. However you walk to get there, whatever direction you take. But just try that for once. See you, full hope. Okay, I'll talk to you guys here for the next 4 or 5 minutes here, see if we got anything in the chat. Hey, Holly, how you doing? That's Miss Hermit, by the way, guys, in case you guys didn't know. Hey, Alan. Cemetery. Have a good night, Charlie. I really appreciate you, man. Hey, is 7th in here? I didn't see 7th earlier. Is he here? You're here, 7th. Good to see you, Steve. Virginia, she's here. Douglas. Who else am I missing? Just want to say hi. Miss V. Pamela, what's up? Okay, cool. Stacy. Yeah. About my future wife and how awesome she is. See you, Douglas. Hey, I love snow. You talking about? Yeah. Holly was a secret. No, I don't think so. Are you struggling with depression? Yeah, it sucks. Depression and addiction really kind of does go hand in hand, guys. Sometimes, it's almost like you can't have one without the other. And which came first, the chicken or the egg? That kind of situation, because they both can lead to both. You know what I mean? Some people start their addiction and then they get depressed during or after. Some people are depressed and it pushes them towards an addiction. So both of those things are bad. See you, Jess. Back at you, Douglas. All right, guys. Again, guys, we will be here tomorrow. One of us will be here, if not both of us. So, we are going to go, as long as you guys are okay. Alan, thanks for being here, bud. Thanks for being here. Leisure, you guys are just solid. I love all you guys. I hope you guys are just doing awesome. And again, like I said, guys, when life throws you a curveball, first thing you can do is just pray for everybody. Okay? And I'm not kidding. Prayer helps. We need to pray for everybody. When things are going on in people's lives, even small stuff, it can help. Pray, love, life, whatever you guys do there, you know what I'm saying. Let's just think about each other. Whatever you do in that situation and whatever you do in your own life when that ends, please do that. I really, truly do think it helps, whatever you're doing there. But again, we try to be open to all people, and that's why we don't just narrow down to one. Because again, we just want everybody here. We really, truly do. We want everybody to be happy. We want to try to help. And sometimes we got things going on in our own lives and stuff that, like me yesterday and Tommy today. We don't know what tomorrow holds. That's why we never say 100% that both of us are going to be here. But what we can say, unless some sort of technical issue or, God forbid, both of us got something going on that we can't do a show or whatever, somebody will be here. Okay? There's only been a couple times that hasn't been the case. We always try. We try to work it out. And we appreciate you guys for being there for us when that happens and understanding. And understanding what we're going, when we have situations and being able to allow us to not be here when we don't need to be. You know what I mean? When we got to take care of things in our own life or, like I said last night, my daughter had a program. I wasn't going to miss that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want you guys to do that either. You see what I'm getting at? So we try to, even if we got to change the time of the show, we've done that before for one day or whatever, 2 days, however that works out. And I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to be here 365 days a year, because there's probably going to be a couple days throughout the year that the show just simply doesn't happen for whatever reason. We've had technical problems cause that before. We've had holidays where we decided, hey, most people are probably spending time with their family anyway, but we want to be here for people that don't have family, that kind of thing. So we try to work that all out. But I appreciate you guys staying with us through all that. I love all you guys. And like Tommy says, guys, you got one mission, right? Go out and save somebody. And we mean that. It's right there on the side. Just go look. It's on the side of the screen there. Look on the right. Go out and save somebody. I guess, what are we going to do here today? I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll show you, how about this? We'll do this. I don't have a cat in a basket, but what I do have, I've got Grogu. For anybody that's a Star Wars nut like myself, I got a bunch of these, by the way, different ones. And actually, yeah, that's not even the Mandalorian. That's Boba Fett. I got Mandalorian. I'll save those for you. You can look behind me. You can kind of see that. So I got R2-D2 and all that stuff too. So that's just me. But no cat in the basket. But anyway, guys, we love you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here. And go out and save somebody.